so much for being here. The work is really, as Mina explained, I'm very interested in gender, how gender is constructed in society. We, for a long time, think, oh, male, female, and there's many forms of gender, many ways that people identify sexually. I got very interested in that because of the very rigid way I was being brought up within my culture. And I personally feel very connected to video and digital imagery because it's the medium of today. Like it's what we see on television, on billboards, on our cell phones, on YouTube. It's the tool of today. Like you were saying about the sculpture that was made in cards and all that. Today's tool is like digital technology. The first two works that I ever did was based on trying to find out what my mother was about, how her gender was constructed, and what my father, how his gender was constructed. I'm like, well, where did that come from, right? My father was raised on the islands of the Azores, even though I was born in Brazil. So I did a whole bunch of explorations around where that came from my father, his identity for being male, and then I went to my mother's side. And so I explored from a religious perspective, Catholicism, where my mom and women of her generation would have gotten their gender identity from. So there's 12 pieces, and in each one the doll character Maria, the Virgin Mary, Maria herself, Mary, actually appears to Maria in each of the scenes. To see the animation, you have to almost religiously genuflect in front of the artworks. Literally, you have to see they're animated. So like those old lenticular images or the souvenirs you see in religious Catholic shops where Jesus' eyes open and close on the cross. I played around with that technology. And so in this case, Maria's freshly washed bed sheets, the Virgin Mary appears on them after they're washed. But then, there's a whole bunch of other things that Maria goes through. This one is a folk dance, a religious folk dance, but in this one she's being coy and a little bit sexual. And it's funny because I'm not supposed to really be able to see under the women's skirts, but it is part of the tease, I think, the turning and spinning. So she's overindulging in the berries she was supposed to bring home as a metaphor for sexual indulgence. Whether or not people get it, I was being subtle with a lot of them. In the end, it finishes with the last one. She becomes the Virgin Mary herself, but reincarnated it around the birds and bees. It's kind of like to address we are of nature, and this cultural tension against our nature all the time. So that was the Maria series. I'm going to jump now to this one here, and I'll show it to you. It's a large touch screen. At the time I was really impressed, actually is the word, by my technical collaborators because touch screen technology was in its infancy at the time. And I asked them if they could do this. The technical collaborators are Jim Ruxton and Marius Chavella. So I'll show you the work. It's an exploration of the first female nudes in cinema. The image that you'll see is Audrey Munson, the first female to appear nude in cinema, in mainstream cinema in 1915 in a film called Inspiration. So she's made up of a whole bunch of other videos, little miniature videos of the other first female nudes in film. I'm just going to lower the audio. What you're hearing are the actual clips of the other movies as you touch in certain places. So all that shimmering, which I like to call the shimmering silver screen, is actually made up of a whole bunch of other movies. So I love the energetic component and layering of history, intent, culture, and in a way conceptually more than literally. I won't play it all, just to give you a sense of it. I collaborated with people who identify as women, and I asked them to contribute either a video or audio or both of themselves self-pleasuring. And this was very important for many women to participate in this, because it wasn't an artwork that I felt was just about me, but an artwork that politicizes sexual agency. So it was a political work. It's hard to see the image, so you can see it on my screen better. It's a little bit, there's people on the ground playing with these things. So you can just look at my screen. Projection screen on the ceiling, but this is Brian McMillan working. Projecting it on the mirror to get it larger, because we didn't have the distance, right, to go high. Sean Martindale, who did the projection frames, 11 feet by 11 feet, is amazing wood. He works amazing carpenter and artist. So that's the projection screen, and it got lifted up by a pulley system. This is a picture, you can't really see the people so much on the ground, but this is how it looked. And it was like almost 60s or 70s party is what it felt like. And funny enough, the second exhibition was at a Sacred Sexuality and Consciousness conference where I met my partner there. But this is the kind of stuff that was going on, you know, like people doing different workshops around sexuality, and believe it or not, the artwork actually became a playground for people to play under it. So let's try it. So somebody's got a pink one, and somebody's got a blue one. So the sounds you're hearing are the women's sounds, and the videos are the women's videos. So the blue one, who's got the blue one? Yeah. When you turn it, what it does is actually changes the video and the audio. What it does to the video is it turns the saturation, it intensifies it, or it takes out the color. It desaturates it. The other thing it does is it actually adds an audio filter that sounds like, it's called wet dry. It's hard to distinguish it with the other ones, but it just changes the sound, the women's sounds a little bit. Who's got the pinks back there? That, what it does is it actually speeds up the way that it radiates, and it also stretches the sound. It stretches it, like makes it almost like a whale sound. It produces numbers because it's communicating through Bluetooth with the computer. Those coordinates or numbers are pushed into the software and tells the software what to do. The concept, I feel strongly that it was a cool, like a good concept, like getting women to contribute and be part of the creative process. The delivery of it, I don't know. I think what people got out of it, they didn't really know what it was about, and they were underneath this canopy of kaleidoscope and surround sound. They were like more in a meditative state, which was actually really quite a big part of my interest in sacred sexuality and this kind of like getting in touch with your inner being and feeling like your body isn't just here where your physical, where your skin stops. I was interested in those concepts. So in that sense, yes, people were getting, they were really like, some of them let go of the interface and just, allow themselves almost to meditate underneath it. So that part, yes, but the other part, the concept of the inner state of sexuality that the women experience got lost. I personally didn't feel like it was a problem for me, but yes, some people would. There's a disconnect, I have to say, I find that all really, really interesting. Part of what I'm hearing is that a key part of this project was the women experiencing and controlling their own sexuality. Mm-hmm. So what I find really interesting is you said that there were just way too many things that the controllers were doing. There were too many different visual and sound effects. So what you're describing is the difficulty of someone trying to take control of those women's sexuality. Interesting.
And they can't do it. It doesn't work. It's a odd experience. But it's the people who didn't try to control it, who just lay there and observed it, who might have enjoyed it the most.
How interesting.
That's that's something that really stood out to me in what you were saying just now.
And sometimes we're creating, and I don't know, I'm not trying to justify that it works on the level that you just said. Maybe it does. Maybe that's exactly the missing link that I didn't have, what you just explained. It is ultimately about power, you know, putting, and when we're creating, we don't know, sometimes we're working intuitively, and I'm not trying to take credit, but I do feel like I was in some way grappling with that, because I felt the most powerful part of the project was actually the process of working with the women and the stories that they were coming back to me with that I didn't share, that didn't get shared. And it was like the process of the art making for me was the art. And the presentation of it with where people are handling the interfaces, the only way that I can explain that I see the interfaces is like getting like engaging in the inner state of sexual experience that these women might have had. But the reason I'm so interested in sexual agency is this. My own experience, and I believe that many, many people who identify as women also have a similar experience, that our sexual desire, our pleasure is so directly linked to being the object of desire, right? What is our desire, aside from being the object of desire, and what is our pleasure? How do we take pleasure? Like, I've always grew up with like being the object of desire, and really like I feel pleasure or desire from that still, but I'm like, what else? And so I have been training myself to look, to gaze also, and that's just part of it. And I know it means I'm turning somebody else into an object of desire, but I don't think as women it's not okay to do that so much. Me? Thanks so much for, I feel it's a very selfish thing to be able to share this, and I really do value your interest and your time for sitting here and engaging as well, so thank you.